Are you ready?
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 Are you ready to forget your family and your job? Work out, oh, whoa. Football around the clock, football around the clock, football around the clock. Work out, oh, whoa. Football around the clock, oh, oh, oh.
Welcome back, guys. This is Football Today. I'm your host, Derek. For all you guys that don't know, that was our really old intro a couple years back. So some nostalgia there. But yeah, I'm joined by David, Charles, and Ray today. So how you guys doing?
Dude, 2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
Sweet. All right, let's jump right into it. I want to jump into this weekend's games, just going into the Premier League. So initially, my initial thoughts on it is like in the notes, like Arsenal dominant, Man City just going crazy with it. But I want to hit the Arsenal Liverpool game first off. So that being a crazy game, 3-2 for Arsenal against Liverpool. So Arsenal still showing their dominant attacking side, but Liverpool still weak in the back. You got thoughts on the Liverpool, David?
Yeah. So not just the back. This is back to forward. Over the week when they played in the Champions League, they did the same formation. They ran a 4-2-3-1 with Luis Diaz, Diego Jota, Salah, and then Darwin Nunez up top. I don't think that's a very strong thing, especially with like Thiago and Jordan Henderson being like the stopgaps. And then you have Arnold and Tsimikas as like your wingbacks who aren't playing very much defending. That's a very light on defending team. Clearly, like, if they have the possession, they had 54 possession. They had more possession than Liverpool, or than Arsenal. So clearly, with that makes it better. But it's still a team that needs to have the ball. Otherwise, they're going to be opened up. There's no real strong midfielders, no strong spine. Yeah.
Thoughts, Charles or Ray? You guys catch the Arsenal Liverpool game?
I didn't really catch it, but I watched some highlights. It's Liverpool is a head scratcher because we talked about this a few weeks back of the Jurgen Klopp 7-year woes.
Mm-hmm.
He's great, and in the seventh year his team fall apart, and then he leaves the club. And we're kind of seeing that. So I don't know if it's being able to sign players or what it is. I mean, they have star-studded cast, but like David said, their defense is weak. And Arsenal's surprising everybody. We thought maybe by now they'd start falling apart already, but they have shown no signs. They show like they're a strong team. So we'll see as the season continues. But yeah, they have some. Liverpool has some definite defensive issues, and we'll see if Jurgen Klopp can do something about that here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, quick thoughts, Ray.
Yeah, I don't have any great analysis. I was going to say the same thing. It's the 7th year, so Liverpool is destined to not be up to par. So there we go.
To add to that, though, it feels like Arsenal they have something this year that they haven't had in the past. They have a very gritty nature. So they were up early, but then Liverpool came back, and Arsenal still. You had the stadium behind them. You had the players with the confidence that they could actually do something. And then when the game was finally on the line at the end, I think when Arsenal was up, they were already up, but Liverpool was pushing. Like Gabriel Jesus and a couple other players did some of those like chippy little dirty tactics and things that just helped them get that game over the line. Like they're like, oh, I got injured. Oh, this was clearly a foul, stuff like that I don't approve of. But at the same time, teams that are confident and winners will know that sometimes they have to do that. I don't like it at all, but that's a tactic that they can use. Beforehand, they would have just lost. They would have just given up, and Liverpool would have come back in the last couple of minutes and just pushed them over. And then also finally in the few minutes, in like the minutes where Arsenal had like really strong attacks, Liverpool's defense just disappeared. It was crazy. They would just slice them open.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I understand that Thiago's not a defender and stuff, but you can't just let a team play through you. And I think we're going to see Arsenal continue to do that. Do you know if Gabriel Jesus actually got injured, or if he just faked injury a couple times?
So no, he did get elbowed pretty hard in the face.
Well, I'm just wondering for the future, because Arsenal, without Gabriel Jesus, they're going to be a very different team.
No, so as far as I know, there's no compounding injury after the game. He got a couple knocks and he got elbow to the face, which made his nosebleed, but that's pretty much it. But on Liverpool, so their defensive woes, I think, mainly lie in one. Everybody's gonna hate me for this. Is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's been sucking. I'm saying everybody's gonna hate me because that's a big talk in England right now. Is like why is Trent not starting against ahead of Reece James, all this in the England squad? So I'm like, but that's why, because one, everybody's criticizing him because of his defense, and then last weekend they're like, during the Champions League, he gets this really good free kick goal, and everybody's like, oh, he silenced the critics. It's like, no, he scored a goal from a free kick, which everybody knows he's good at. But then you look at his defensive work rate, it sucks. So that's one reason why they're struggling. And you saw that in the game. Like Charles said, Martinelli was just tearing Trent to pieces on that side. Like Trent stood no chance against Martinelli, and Martinelli's been on crazy form. So props to him. Another thing I've noticed is they a big gap in their defense is Fabinho. They lost him, their main center defensive midfielder, and so they don't have that extra guy back to strengthen their defense. And like you said, David, they're trying to rely on Thiago or Henderson, but they're not really that good.
Thing. When you switch to a 4-2-3-1, those guys have to be solid defensively. Beforehand, they had Fabinho, then Henderson, and one other guy. Yeah. So it was a 3-man midfield that would actually shore it up. And now it's two defensive midfielders and then 5 attackers in front of them, or 4 attackers in front of them. So I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's criticizing Liverpool for you guys are missing Mane, right? The same thing with Bayern Lewandowski. But it's they might be missing his chance creation and maybe some goals here and there, but really it's their midfield that they're missing. They got this Arthur guy who's now out on injury, and so you're saying, Charles, they need more transfers in the midfield this January transfer window. So lots of work for
and that's one thing key about the 4-2-3-1, because German clubs and even Germany plays that from the national team, and it works really well for them. But you have to have 2 really solid defensive midfielders as your engine room. And that's what Germany's good at, and that's what Bayern was good at when they're using the 4-2-3-1. And if you don't have – Thiago's great. He came from Bayern over to Liverpool. But something's not clicking. That engine room needs to get going, and then they have to come back and play defense and help out the 4 guys in the back. Something's lacking where they're not – I don't know if they're not helping out enough or what the deal is, but their defense is leaky.
Well, look at their attackers. Which of those attackers are going to get back on defense? It's not going to be Mohamed Salah. It's not going to be Jota. It's not going to be the striker, clearly, and I can't remember the 4th one. But they're not going to get back. Yeah. And to Arsenal's credit,
No, go ahead. I was going to say that's what the defensive midfielders are there for. Thiago's supposed to come back and help
they're
on
supposed to
defense.
get back,
He's
but they're also like after
the
they
attack.
slow down.
But he also
After they slow down that Arsenal attack, the other guys need to come back and help them after that. And you just know that these guys are like a second slow, and they're going to make like the defense that much angrier because they're not actually like, imagine if every time this happens in my indoor team all the time. If the goalie is constantly getting like hit with like 2-on-1s or something, or the counterattacks, and people aren't getting back to help out, at some point they're going to be frustrated and try, not care as much, because they're like, if the team isn't putting in the effort, why am I putting the effort?
Yep.
Also, though, I mentioned this at the beginning of the season, Arsenal, one of the great things that has finally occurred with them is that when they get in the attacking third, they finally have guys making these runs. So the Granit Xhaka is playing like a very advanced role for what he normally does. And this is incredible because like all of a sudden you have like these guys that can play defense. Xhaka will play defense. All these guys will play defense, but they're making these overlapping runs and forcing Liverpool to make bad decisions. And they're not making good mental decisions right now. So you have to give Arsenal as much credit for that as – but you know that a better defense would make those better decisions. That's the reason why I'm saying that. Like with Sadio Mane, like they pressured from the front. Mm-hmm. Now they don't do that as well, and so that means that it gets through to their weaker midfield and defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Lots of work for Liverpool, like I said. All right, let's keep moving with the Premier League this weekend. Manchester United won 2-1 over Everton, which is a pretty good game. Actually, pretty good first half. Second half is boring, but really good first half. But
one comment on that. I don't know if we're gonna keep going after that. Are we? So one comment. Like those midfields were some of the most open midfields I've ever seen. And if I feel like if they were playing, like that's why Man U got crushed by Man City. That's why Everton's not having a good season. Like it was just like, hey, do you want to go anywhere in the midfield? It was all open.
Yeah. And out of form, Ronaldo got a goal finally. So we'll see if that kicks off this for him. But we'll see. Let's see. Crystal Palace won 2-1 over Leeds. West Ham 3-1 over Fulham. Really good result for West Ham. I'm just going to rattle through them. If you guys want to stop and talk, we'll stop and talk. Tottenham 1-0 Brighton. You got any thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, the only thing I've said this a bunch of times. Tottenham actually doesn't have an offense yet. They're relying a lot on counterattack. So when we talk about Champions League, we'll see the same thing. Tottenham really needs to get their offense figured out. I really like a lot of their players, but they need to get that figured out. And Brighton's actually a good team, but they're going to go downhill because they lost their coach. They're not going to play nearly as well.
Yeah, good point. All right, next game is Bournemouth 2, Leicester 1. So Leicester's still losing, still bottom of the table. So
have they won anything?
Yeah, 4 points. So no.
Sorry, I need to find this out. I need to find out if they won.
Bournemouth is a surprise because didn't they just come back up from EFL?
Oh, Leicester beat.
They're like
Nottingham. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth is in 8th.
What happened to Nottingham? They're one of the big spenders during the transfer season, and they're in last place.
Well, I wouldn't say big spenders. They went with quantity over quality. They completed a total of 26 transfers.
They spent a lot of money, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah, they bought a first team and a reserve team in the transfer window.
And they're going to get relegated.
So it's like, I mean, hey, you.
Something happened. So with Nottingham, I assume he's going to be back. They have Jesse Lingard. Are you back?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there. It crashed.
Like basically Jesse Lingard, Nico Williams, Dean Henderson, just like cast-offs from like other teams.
Yeah.
And then also like a bunch of other players you've never heard of.
Yeah. So they built a championship team to win it 2 years from now.
Oh yeah, like if they go back down to the
Get
championship,
relegated and then win it again and come back
they'll
up.
win.
So
Yeah.
they're planning for the future. Just keep bouncing back and forth. All right. What's another game?
Newcastle 5-1 over Brentford.
Yeah, 5-1 over
Newcastle,
Brentford. Newcastle.
They're in what, sixth?
They've
So they're in the Europa Cup spot right now, and they're doing
kicked
fantastic.
it off. Yep.
And if you look at that, there's like the top three. You got Arsenal, Man City, and Tottenham, and then you have Chelsea, Man U, Newcastle, Brighton. They're all within like 2 points.
And this weekend's going to be a big game, or because Newcastle plays Man U.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they
So
better wreck them.
Yeah.
But I mean, Newcastle is really in form. So I mean, and being six, a 5 versus 6 game, like that's gonna be a really good game. And I don't think
that's gonna be a good.
Honestly, I don't think Manchester United has the defensive wingbacks to deal with Newcastle.
Yeah, we'll see what Newcastle's defense is like. They can score goals. Now they're playing a better team than Brentford. So
yeah, but Man U can't score goals right now. So.
Well, they have Anthony who's been scoring. Other than that, yeah,
the one. Anyway, let's keep moving. Chelsea is getting on their winning ways with a 3-0 against Wolves.
What happened to Wolves? I think they lost a lot of people in transfer. Because last year they finished everywhere. They're in relegation.
Yeah, they stacked their coach. That's why. And so they haven't hired a new manager.
Well, they sacked the coach because they're not doing very well.
Yeah, but they haven't hired anybody yet. So the staff is trying to pick up the slack. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on though. I think they're just not looking good.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
You have Diego Costa though. I don't know if you guys knew that. Diego Costa's back in the EPL.
Yeah, he made his first appearance at Stamford Bridge in like 5 years. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So as a sort of weird homecoming for him. But yeah, then Man City 4, Southampton 0. Erling Haaland got his 20th season goal and his 15th Premier League goal. Like, this guy is not human. Like, I know we can like the
he should
whole
win the
thing
Ballon d'Or this year.
Oh, he's like contender number 1. But I mean, with the comparison being
he's not Messi or Ronaldo, so you never know. Lewandowski didn't win it, and he Bundesliga scoring record. So if your name's not Messi or Ronaldo, you don't know if he's going to win it or not.
Or Mbappe. So I mean, my thing is like he those two get compared all the time. So Mbappe and Haaland. But my thing is like Haaland just can't stop scoring. And then what's Mbappe doing at PSG? He's causing conflict in the dressing room. He just signed I don't even know the number. Like
he basically owns the club right now.
He's part owner of PSG, controls transfers, controls the transfer manager. Like he's just doing crazy stuff. And so, and Haaland's over here like breaking every record in the world.
Pick this: Man City PSG Champions League final. What a game that would be! Mbappe
I can
versus
imagine
Haaland.
that.
Yeah. If they don't meet, I don't know how the brackets are going to go. If they don't meet prior to that.
With Man City though against Southampton. Southampton sold out. They put like 3 guys on Haaland at like all times.
Yep.
And he still scored a goal, and it opened up everyone else. Guess what? Mahrez is a good player, Like all
Mhm.
these other guys, great players. They're going to
Yep.
score if you just give them open stuff, and they did.
Yeah.
And João Cancelo, one of my favorite players, and he looked so good. So that's and the goal that he scored, it was funny because like 2 or 3 defenders are watching him. João Cancelo cuts it back, and Holland just like steps back and murders it. Like after that, everyone thought that he was gonna like cut to the goal. He just like, actually, I'm right here, and then boom, in.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Just get a mention in there because my favorite player on City is KDB, Kevin De Bruyne. And like if he hasn't won a Premier League player of the month like ever. I'm pretty sure he's got like man of the match and stuff. But he hasn't got like player of the month or any of that stuff or has been on like the Ballon d'Or list or anything. So, but this guy, I don't know if you guys saw his assist this weekend. It was just like he does this week in, week out, just pulls out crazy assists, and like he never fails to amaze me. So just a quick.
Well, he's going to beat the assist record, and
He's
also fun fact about him: when he goes and talks to like the Man City like team about like doing his re-signing or whatever, he actually uses advanced metrics to like show exactly what he brings to the team. I think because he doesn't win those like Premier League player of the month and like stuff like that. And so he's like, actually, look at these metrics. See how much more we win when I'm on the field. See how much more we score when I'm on the field. So I think that like this breaking like the Premier League assist record is really going to do a lot for him because I think Thierry Henry holds it right now, and he'll be able to just be like, yeah, sorry, look at me, I'm I'm the Premier League assist holder. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 things you can expect from Man City is that Haaland's going to score and that KDB's going to get assist.
No.
Per game.
And that's at least a goal, maybe 2 goals a game. Like, that means the other team has to contend with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's each game.
Game.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have any other comments on the Premier League before we move on? Any other games you guys want to talk about? Anything?
No other games, but one last thing about Man City because I get excited about them. And this is just comparing them with Arsenal. Right now, Arsenal's 24 points, Man City's 23. Arsenal is basically running the same team week in, week out, week in, week out. This is going to come back and bite them. Man City constantly changes, and Pep Guardiola knows, guess what? One of these guys is not going to, like, he's going to slow down. He's not going to be as hot as he was. I think Haaland will always be hot, but, like, the rest of the guys, like, they're going to, like, go on and off. And Pep Guardiola is just going to change them out. He's going to be like, hey, if you're not scoring, someone else will get hot, so I'm going to make sure that they're in there scoring. I don't think that Mikel Arteta has that luxury at Arsenal. I think that the team is eventually going to slow down. I mentioned that once Gabriel Jesus like starts having problems, that's going to be a sign that all of Arsenal's having problems. But right around Christmas is when we're going to see just like Arsenal just get tired, and then we'll see how things go. We have problems this year because of the World Cup. It really interferes with the schedule, but we'll probably still see that anyway. Some of all these players are just going to be tired. Man City is going to keep rolling.
Yeah, I agree. Like after the World Cup, when we see like Boxing Day games and stuff like that, we're really going to notice like the physicality of the players, the endurance of the players really diminish, in my opinion. All right, Charles, Ray, thoughts on Premier League before we move on? Nothing. Ray, anything Newcastle?
You're
over. I guess they celebrate. Yeah.
Gotcha now.
Thank you. They, the transfer of the club ownership was celebrated on Saturday. That it's official and 100% in the new owners. So and they came out with a 5-1 win there. So things are looking good.
Sweet. All right, let's do a quick tap on the Bundesliga. Move on from Premier League. So Bundesliga on today's games, well, at least notable game for me was Union Berlin is still winning, still chugging along and winning,
Mhm.
still contending for that title against Dortmund and Bayern. So I mean they're up there 20 points, and Freiburg is up there too, which is surprising. So I mean, like David was saying, we'll see after the World Cup how many of these players can keep still going or can keep going. But I mean, teams like Union Berlin or like Freiburg, like they don't, like nobody anticipates them to have like that many of their star players in World Cup teams, and so it's just going to be like a month-long rest for them, and they can come back like even stronger.
Yeah.
So, thoughts, Charles?
Yeah. One is doing great. They won their first Europa Cup game, so I think they're in third place now or something in their group. But they're right there in it, and if they can continue winning in group stage, maybe they can be in the top two to move on. But yeah, they're really taking it to the Bundesliga, and so their defense is very strong. Their scoring seems like it kind of dropped off for the last few games, like 1-0 type of compared to what they used to be, but they done because their defense is really strong. So yeah, they're continuing on, in the Bundesliga.
Sweet. All right. Cruising through. Actually, yeah. Finish off today's game for Bundesliga. Gladbach and Köln was 5-2. High score game there.
Yep.
Hertha and Freiburg. So Freiburg tied. So lost a couple points there. In the title race. And then yesterday games for Bundesliga. Bochum, Frankfurt 3-0. Leverkusen.
Yeah, that was a shocker. Yeah, Bayer Leverkusen. I would mention Xavi Alonso is the new manager at Bayer Leverkusen, and so that his first game, first win. So
first game, first win, 4-0 against Schalke. Yep. Then we got Augsburg, Wolfsburg 1-1 tie. Mainz, Leipzig. A surprise for Leipzig to tie that 1-1. But Leipzig hasn't been informed.
They have not been involved. Yeah, I don't know what their issue is.
So,
and then you got Der Klassiker.
Yeah, Der Klassiker. Yeah, man, what
and that was a classic one this year. What a game! Bayern went up 2-0, and then Dortmund came back late and tied it 2-2. And Sane is on fire. Not just in the Bundesliga, but in Champions League too. He's our number one scorer right now. He's on fire. And I don't know if you guys saw that blast to have him go up 2-0. That was a great game. Dortmund hung in there and did what they had to do. Deserving the 2-2 draw. But like I said, off air, Bayern missing some players. I mean, I know Kish came in the second half, and so did Coleman. They're just coming back from injury. So they're probably not 100%. But Mueller was out, and Hernandez on defense was out also. So we were missing pretty much 4 of our big starters in that game.
So Charles, what's your thoughts on Coleman coming in and getting 2 yellows and getting that red card towards the end of the game?
He just came back from injury, so I don't think he's fully back yet. And yeah, he got 2 yellows and got sent off, the second yellow with a red. So he'll be out the next game.
Yeah.
He's not in form yet. And Nagelsmann even mentioned that Coleman and Gnabry need to step it up, and they're not tactically there yet, which is kind of weird because they've been on the team for years. But that they need to get back in shape, and tactically they need to get back with it. So give him some time. Like I said, he's just coming back from injury. He's going to be with Bayern for a while because he opted to stay at Bayern. He signed like a 3-year extension or something like that, to 2027, something like that. So he's going to be with Bayern for a long, long time. He just needs to get healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great game.
Crazy game.
As far as the spectator view,
yeah.
Bayern It was better at the end, but for that was a beautiful game. It was excellent.
Yeah. So honestly, I think Dortmund should have put it away because they towards the I think it's like 75th minute. It was before the red card from Koeman.
Yeah.
They were I forget his name, the new young kid on the right wing from Dortmund. But he
Modesto?
yeah, I think so. Like he got away from his man, was going in, and then he pinged the ball in to their striker. He was right in front of goal, like open goal, and like totally mishits it, and like it goes over. I was like, oh my gosh, like how do you miss that?
Well, it could have been 4-2 because they had another good one in the first half too that would have tied it 1-1, and Neuer had to make a fantastic save to knock that one out of there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dortmund could have won it 4-2. You know, it was a nice back and forth game, and
yeah,
you know, both teams had chances, but Bayern had more possession as usual and whatever. But Dortmund really looked good. Like you said, they could have easily won that game.
So quick talking point. We'll go around the horn here. Do you guys think Bayern is struggling in the Bundesliga to get goals because they're focusing on the Champions League, or is it solely just like Mane and Koeman are just struggling to get goals in the Bundesliga? Start for Charles.
Both. I really think that Nagelsmann is focusing on the Champions League because that was his criticism last year from ownership, saying that round of 16 is not good enough. And if that happens, his job's on the line. So I think he is focusing on Champions League because they're tearing it up. In the Champions League, they beat Inter, they beat Barcelona in the toughest group in the group stages. And yes, they are struggling in Bundesliga. I think part of it is Nagelsmann's tactics and rotation of players. Yes, we've had a few injuries, but you know every team has injuries. I think it's more his tactics and the rotation, not just rotation, but switching up formations, which he's been kind of criticized for this year. So the last few games, he kind of went back to the 4-2-2-2, which if you really look on paper, it's more of a 4-2-4. That seems to be working best for them this year, but he does kind of switch it up depending on the team he plays, the formation and players, and sometimes it bites him in the butt. It did it at Leipzig too. So that's his big criticism. I think he kind of plays around too much instead of sticking with what works.
Yeah. All right. Thoughts, David, on Bayern?
Yeah. One of my buddies was talking to me about this, and not about Bayern, but in relation to something else. And he basically said for like the Bundesliga teams, Bayern game is the two biggest games of the season. For the Champions League teams, that's not always the case. And so like the Bayern will put forth its best effort in the Champions League games, at least this year. In previous years, it's been like Bundesliga. I think they're focusing too much on the Champions League, and they're forgetting that every other team, their biggest game of the season, the one they're prepping for, is against Bayern. And so they're going to play a lot harder on those games. And if Bayern doesn't put forth a really strong showing in those games, and I actually think that Nagelsmann's still figuring things out. I think that'll take a little while, and eventually it will smooth over. They have the quality. So I'm not worried.
All right.
Yeah. And that's part of the issue.
Go ahead, Charles.
That's part of the issue with Bayern is what you were saying, Nagelsmann trying to figure things out, because the reason Mane and like Koeman and Gnabry aren't scoring is because he's switching up the formations, and he has them out of position where really they usually don't play. And because, like I said, in the 4-2-2-2 at the beginning of the season, Mane was tearing it up, and then he kept switching formations, and his scoring just went south because he's been playing out of position. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens going forward. We lost Ray.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask his opinion too.
Yeah. I think it's a trickier situation whenever a coach takes over, even if it's a team like Bayern that constantly expects to win. I'm not nearly as worried about them as you are. That's my main point.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's wrap up the Bundesliga then. Last thoughts on Bundesliga, David? Nothing. Charles, last thoughts on Bundesliga?
Finally, it's a competition. And like David was saying, only because Bayern's kind of struggling, but at least it's a competition, a lot of close games, a lot of upsets. So I'm happy to see that for the Bundesliga.
All right. Cool. Let's move on to La Liga then. Kind of lost your video feed there, David.
Am I still gone?
Okay, there you are.
Okay.
All right, sweet. So we start off with yesterday's games. With was there a Friday game? There was a Friday game. So Valencia, beat Osasuna. Do not know how to say that. They beat them 2-1. Then moving on to Saturday, Mira 3-1 over Valenciano. I struggle with these names.
You're good. We can just hit the main points.
Okay.
The main teams.
The main teams. Okay, so Atletico 2-1. So I mean that's good that they're getting back to winning ways, even though it may be like towards like a bottom tier team. But
no, I think they were playing against Athletic Bilbao, right?
we did. Atletico.
No, was it Girona? It was Girona. Okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I thought they played against Athletic Bilbao recently. Maybe I have that confused.
And then Sevilla 1-1 with Athletic Club. Oh my gosh.
That's the one that I was thinking of. Okay, so it's Sevilla versus Athletic Club Bilbao.
Yeah. Then Real Madrid 1-0. I think they had a goal disallowed. Yeah, they had Rodriguez's goal disallowed.
Yeah.
Thoughts on their performance, David?
Yeah, I've actually been really impressed. Tchouaméni and some of these other players are doing great, and one of my all-time favorite players already, Fede Valverde, is absolutely crushing it. They put him in the midfield.
He's nuts.
Say that again.
He's crazy. He's like insane.
Yeah, well, like he's a midfielder and a winger and a right back. Like he does everything.
Has everything.
He's like Conte, but like for like the wing.
Yeah.
So. I think that like they still miss Benzema because Benzema came back midweek and played in the Champions League, but he didn't have the fitness for this game. I think that they're going to continue to do well. I just think that playing against big teams, like we'll see when they play against Barcelona, who are the cheaters. I'm just going to say that again. When they play against the cheaters, how it turns out, because Barcelona is also doing really well. You can see that Barcelona is technically ahead just on point differential in the table. Athletic Club Bilbao is third, and then you have Atleti. And then it kind of – so, like, Atleti's, like, in the second tier, like, with 16 points tied with Real Betis and Real Sociedad. And then it drops off pretty hard. So, the La Liga is an interesting league this year. I hope that Real Betis continues to do well. I'm a giant fan of Athletic Bilbao as well. So they have two brothers, Nico Williams and what's the other Williams? It's Iñaki and Nico Williams. They're both fantastic and they're fun to watch. So my only main comments about the La Liga is that they're other than Real Madrid and Barcelona, they're struggling in the Champions League, and we'll get there.
Yes, they are. All right, yeah, let's keep moving into the leagues real quick for on La Liga. I guess the only other one is Barcelona 1-0 over Celta Vigo. So.
Yeah, and real quick, actually, because I kind of cut off there. I guess what I was saying is like I didn't really want to talk about Barcelona too much, but they probably shouldn't have won against Celta Vigo. 1-0 is not a big score, and Celta Vigo had some really good chances. And the reason that teams like Barcelona beat Celta Vigo isn't because they're better than them on the day. It's because Celta Vigo, their players go into offside positions. They commit silly fouls. Their minds aren't there exactly when they need to be. So Celta Vigo, if they had been onside for a few times, or if they had just put away a couple good chances, they would have easily beaten Barcelona. So I think that should be a lesson to all the rest of the teams playing against Barcelona. I know this happens all the time, but they're like, hey, this is how to beat Barcelona. One team kind of does well, and the next team tries to take the main points of what they did and implement it. So that's very functional. Celta Vigo kind of set a template, and other teams need to follow it.
Mm. Yeah, I saw that in those highlights too. Like lots of good chances, and should have made the most of it. But like you said, they lack that professionalism to.
And that's even with
and move forward.
Yeah, that's even with what's his name in the striker position. Let me see. It was why can't I remember his name? Iago Aspas. I love freaking Iago Aspas.
Mm-hmm.
He should have put it away. He's 35 now. He's not as old as Joaquin. Joaquin for Real Betis is like 41, and he played in the Champions League. And I think he probably played this weekend too.
Is he the oldest?
Probably. Such a good player.
Is he the oldest to play in the Champions League?
No, I don't think so.
Or is that Buffon?
I don't think so.
Gigi, probably Gigi. But Joaquin is an incredible player, and like when he comes off the field, you'll see him, and you'll be like, "Is that a player's dad or maybe the coach?" No, it's Joaquin.
All right. All right. Let's move on from the leagues. And try to hit the Champions League here, and then we'll end it with a little update on injuries for a bunch of teams because the international break really hit teams hard with injuries. All right, so just going through the Champions League, starting on that Tuesday, Bayern crushed it 5-0 over Pilsen. So. Really good goal. Is it 5 different scores this time again? Or Sane got a double?
He got a brace.
Yeah, Sane got a double still. Well, like you were saying, Charles, they're crushing it in the Champions League, but struggling in the league.
Yeah.
So, all right, and then
which is okay in my book.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what they're shooting for, they haven't won it in a while. So, I mean. If there's
only 2 years, they won it in 2020.
Yeah. All right, and then Inter Milan beat Barcelona. I was so happy when I saw that goal.
With like
yes, I'm so happy about that one. The cheaters lost with all that money they spent on those players.
And Lewandowski didn't look great, did he?
No, he was off the mark. Nope. I mean, there was a couple decisions, VAR decisions, that Barcelona fans will be raging about until this week, because there's a handball by Ansu Fati, which denied him the goal, and then I think there's another handball by an Inter player that they were mad about, but. They were off the mark, couldn't score. So,
but what a shot by Çalhanoğlu, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a rocket. All right. Let's keep moving on. Marseille 4-1 over Sporting. Them going off the mark. And then in the same Group D, Tottenham tie Frankfurt. A little disappointing for Tottenham there, David.
Yeah.
Think about it. You have 55% possession over Frankfurt's 45, but you only have one shot on goal, and they have 3. Still 0-0, but I'm just saying that's exactly what I'm saying. It's a disappointing offensive output, and everyone was like, "Oh, Heung-min Son is back on the mark." No, he's not. That was like they need to figure out their offense.
Yeah. How?
Especially against.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially against a Frankfurt team who's somewhat struggling. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Tottenham should have really won that game.
So, how's their formation looking, David? Like, because I'm mainly concerned about. I mean, not concerned. I'm mainly looking for like, are they doing like the hexagon shape where they're just passing around like to the wing backs, the center backs, and coming back and just keep going in a circle and nothing's happening in the midfield? Or
so they run a 3-4-2-1, and I think the problem is that Harry Kane, when he sees that things doesn't work out, like when he's seeing that the ball doesn't move like it should, he'll drop back into the midfield.
Yeah.
And I think with a 3-4-2-1, you really want to have a striker who's causing the defense to stay in a particular shape. So I like the 3-4-2-1, and I like Harry Kane. I just don't know if it's a good match. We can go into a lot more depth.
Yeah.
But like if the defense follows Harry Kane and gets pulled out of position, then you got Heung-min Son running in behind, and that's when they do well. Their counterattacks are when they do well, but their offense itself isn't going to work. And they have some really good players. I think they just need to realize that just because they put together all the rest of the pieces, like with Harry Kane, they're not going to do it. Like so I think that's why they have Richarlison. I think they should put Richarlison as striker and have Harry Kane play like off his shoulder and like do other things. I think that would be that would actually solve their issues. You know, don't tell Antonio Conte I said that, but that was
yeah. All right. Good analysis there. Appreciate that. All right, let's keep moving on to Group A. Group A, yeah. So Napoli absolutely crushes Ajax 6-1. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but Napoli was on one, and they could not stop if they wanted to. They kept going. It was very impressive, especially their recent run of form. This was a much needed win for them.
Well, Napoli's actually, other than their recent form, they've been playing well, and they have a lot of wins. And Ajax is a good team. Ajax is always underrated, and they're always good. And Napoli made them look. They walked all over them.
Yeah, and like granted, Ajax got go ahead.
I was going to say Napoli's form's been great because they're in first place and they've been tearing it up in Serie A and also in Champions League. I think they're top of the group in both the Champions League and in Serie A. So they're kind of the surprise team with all the transfer outs they had this season.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
But they're dominating, and so I don't really have them picked to win the Champions League, but they're a team to be reckoned with. You know, they're a surprise team that could go far.
They're like one of the most fun teams to watch in the Champions League right now.
Yes.
I can see them going to the quarters, honestly.
Yeah.
If they keep it up. So.
And real quick in that game, that goal or the red card by Dusan Tadic was in like the 73rd minute when 5 goals had already been scored. That
5-1, so it did not change anything. Yeah.
It was 5-1 already, and Napoli was just getting like every time they broke, it was just looking like they would score. It was fantastic.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going with Group A. Liverpool win against Rangers 2-0. So at least they're winning in the Champions League. So they got that going for them until they get to the knockout stage. Anyway.
I thought Rangers looked pretty good in spurts.
Yeah. They look decent. But let's talk about Club Brugge. 2-0 against Atletico Madrid. And they're winning their group with 9 points. Over Porto, Leverkusen, and Atletico Madrid. Like, if this is not a Cinderella story, I don't know what is. It's only the group stage. Like, this is just crazy. Who's their oh, never mind. I thought it was someone else.
Yeah, Club Brugge has like a Spanish striker who scored, and other than that, they have Simon Mignolet as keeper. Other than that, I don't recognize anyone. I guess Dennis Adoy. We should know Dennis Adoy, but he's 34 years old. Atleti should have definitely done better.
Yeah.
Atleti did have just about even possession, and a couple more shots on goal, but they did not feel good. Like nothing looked good. Like I said this at the beginning of the season, and I'll keep saying it. During the offseason, Atleti plays free and open, and they score like crazy. Once the season comes, and as the games get bigger and bigger and bigger, Diego Simeone gets them like to park that bus more and more, and they don't know how to pick apart teams right now.
Yeah,
not playing that style. They have to play a completely different style. Oh, I forgot also that Antoine Griezmann like skied a penalty, I think, in that one.
yes, he did. Yep.
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was going to be their turning point. I watched out. I'm like, oh, Griezmann coming up. Like this is it for Club Brugge. Like the Atletico is just going to take it, and then. Like,
and then Atleti put tons of pressure on them towards the end, but it just like they didn't have it. So disappointment.
Yeah. So I mean, they officially signed Griezmann, so he's not on loan anymore from Barcelona. So they bought him for 20 mil, which is a pretty good price because I think they're trying to the contract said like 45 mil or something like that. They had to pay if he played him certain minutes, but so they reached agreement with Barcelona for 20 mil. So I mean he's going to become a starter now, like every game. So maybe like he can help them turn around.
It's really interesting because they have so much talent, but instead they have this guy that I think they got him from Real Sociedad back in the day, and he's just been their totem. Like he is exactly what Diego Simeone wants in a striker. And I think selling him to Barcelona was their biggest mistake. I don't think they should have ever done that. And I think that like if you get rid of Griezmann, you might as well have gotten rid of Diego Simeone at that point.
Yeah. Because like when Griezmann went over there, it was still with Messi, Neymar, and Suarez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, he went over a team to sit on the bench and watch the trio do their magic, and then he leaves again. So
yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving to the Wednesday games. Salzburg, 1-0 over at Dynamo, and then Chelsea beat AC Milan 3-0 at home at Stamford Bridge, which AC Milan just looked horrid. Like they did not look like themselves at all. Chelsea just tore them apart. Aubameyang got his first goal with Chelsea in that game.
Nice.
And then Fofana got his first goal with a rocket.
Reece James looked good,
so,
which he needs to look good for Chelsea to look good. Goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So Chelsea starting to fire on all cylinders now with Graham Potter in there.
Well, they were running a kind of an older system though, right? With,
yeah. He ran a 3 in the back. He was just trying to counter the stacked midfield that AC Milan had. So he's just trying to flood the midfield. While keeping the back stacked, which when you have Thiago, Koulibaly, and Fofana all pretty much in form.
That was the whole reason, like in my mind, like Thiago's not a 2 at the back player. Neither is Koulibaly. Well, Koulibaly could be, but he looks better in the 3, and Fofana actually probably looks better in the 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, but the thing with Potter is he's famous for never sticking with one system.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm just more saying that I wonder if that's one of the reasons why Chelsea played better is they were playing a team that they could get up for the game and play in a comfortable style.
Yeah, position that they've been groomed for the last 2 years. So
yeah.
I mean, he's definitely going to be bouncing back and forth from his 4-back formation to the 3-back formation. So.
And I approve of that because that allows like that sort of flexibility. All top teams should
versatility,
every single team should be able to adapt to the scenario.
Yeah, it keeps teams on their toes. So I mean, it'll definitely work in our favor to do that. All right, let's keep moving. Group F, Leipzig 3, Celtic 1, and then Real Madrid 2 over Shakhtar 1. So Real Madrid squeak a win over Shakhtar, who's really been in form this group stage. So thoughts on that, David?
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say is like Shakhtar's goal was it was well taken, very well taken goal. I think it was a volley off the guy's, like he volleyed it from like over the 18. And even though Courtois is not in there, they have Andre Lunin in there right now. It's, that's still really impressive. I think Courtois probably would have saved it. Either way, you have Real Madrid looking solid. Tchouaméni with Valverde and Cruz, and then Rodrigo, Benzema, and Vinicius. Once Benzema gets going again, and if they get Courtois back, then they'll be doing really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So their key injuries is Benzema and Courtois. So
yeah.
Go ahead, Charles.
Leipzig got their first win, so they have 3 points. They're in third place now. Yeah, Andre Silva got a brace, and then I don't know how to pronounce his name, Kunuku. Anyway, he had a goal, but then he had another. Yeah, he had another goal disallowed by VAR, so he could have had a brace.
Quick tap on Nkuku there. So apparently he's been in advanced talks with Chelsea since summer. Secret medical, I think, was done in Frankfurt or something like that, or Munich, like Munich or Frankfurt. He did a secret medical with Chelsea. They've been trying to keep it under wraps, but it got leaked a week ago, and so he's been in advanced talks with Chelsea, and so he's probably going to be signed during the January transfer window from Leipzig. So I mean, we give him Werner, and then we take their main midfielder from him.
So let me give you some hints on Nkunku though. So he used to play right mid, and he was a pretty good mid. Then he started doing really well, and he stopped getting back on defense. So they started putting him as like a left, like a wing, or someone who would just stay up. I think in this one they show his formation as being like a second striker. And I think that's a lot better for him because that way, like, he doesn't have to get back on defense.
Yeah. And he's really good on defense, though.
He can be. He just needs to actually do it.
Yeah.
So my whole point being, like, does Chelsea really need another attacking mid or another, like, secondary striker, another Sterling or something? Nothing to critique him. I like him a lot. I just think they need to know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I think because there's rumors floating around that which this is really, I don't like talking. I don't even like thinking about it because it makes me so mad. The rumor came out today that Mason Mount's contract extension is on the line because of the new management is not willing to do whatever. So that really makes me mad. And then Conte's contract extension is on the line too. So those two extensions are being held up.
They're probably treating it like businessmen instead of realizing
exactly. And so they're saying, okay, these two players aren't willing to work with us like Tuchel did, and so we're gonna do these secret meetings with other players and try to replace them. And it's just like,
yeah, let me tell you,
bad business.
If you have the chance to sign Conte, to re-sign Conte or anything, get him. He's been the best midfielder the last 8 years, and he's the reason for all the successes.
Yep, 100%. So all that backs behind the stage stuff is going on in our midfield, and on top of that, Jorginho's contract is up in the summer, so we're probably going to lose Georgie. We might lose Mount. We might lose Conte. So our whole midfield is just demolished, just like our whole defense was demolished this last summer. So, and our offense, because we lost Timo Werner and Lukaku, even though they weren't doing anything. But I mean, within 8 months, Chelsea will be going through like a complete like team wipe and team ownership and staff wipe within like 8 months, and it's crazy. It's mind boggling. So there's my rant for today. I can go more, but I'm leaving it there. Like I said, it makes me very, very upset. Anyway, all right, let's keep moving. So Man City, in Group G, just destroying Copenhagen 5-0. With starting off with Holland getting a brace. So I mean, Holland just scoring everywhere and can't stop. And then also in Group G, Sevilla or Dortmund beat Sevilla 4-1. So that's a really good result for Dortmund. Even though they may be struggling a little bit like Bayern in Bundesliga, but German teams showing up a little bit in the Champions League.
Can I jump back to Man City versus Copenhagen?
Yeah, go for it.
So Copenhagen is they're a good team in their league, but they're nowhere near close to the skill that Man City has, clearly. And yet they played them pretty well, actually. It's not like that's not a diss on someone to say that Man City put 5 past you. That's nothing. In fact, watching the highlights again, they played better than Man U. Their defense was better than Man U when Man City beat Man U 6-3. We didn't get a chance to talk about that last week. And the only thing that I really want to say is that Erling Haaland made them look so stupid. Man U, so stupid. And then he made Copenhagen look bad as well. So I know we talked about Erling Haaland for a while, and I'd like to keep talking about him if I can. But mostly just Copenhagen actually played much better than Man U did. And I think that like people need to realize like that, like you can't approach Man City like you would a normal team. Not now. Like beforehand, you could be like, oh, they have no striker. We can, we just have to be careful of these guys making intricate runs, and they can keep out of that. Now they have to watch out for everything. Everything's starting to click, and it's working for all the players on like all the levels. The wingers are interacting with Haaland better, all of it. So I think it's going to be a really hard team to stop. And once again, I'll repeat the prediction. I think Haaland's the reason that Man City win the Champions League this year.
Yeah, I mean, if like the rule of thumb, pretty much for every sport is if you score the most, you'll most likely win everything. So
you'll win the game if you score a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and yeah, like you're saying, Haaland's about to break every single record there is about scoring.
The one thing that I had wanted to say though is everyone always talks about, oh, the Premier League is the best league in the world. Like we can ignore that argument. Let's just pretend that they're right. Haaland is crushing them right now. He's crushing their defenses. So either Haaland's way better than you think, or the Premier League's not as good as you think. I think it's probably a combination of both, but I think Haaland is that good. And Man City.
Yeah, I think.
Or
go ahead.
Or yeah, what I was thinking is he has a better supporting cast than he did at Dortmund, because he scored a lot of goals, but nothing like this.
No, you're absolutely right.
He has a better groin and whatever. He has a better supporting cast to feed him the ball, to open things up.
He's got De Bruyne. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you're 100% correct. And at the same time, though,
more thinking of that compared to what he did at Dortmund.
There's all these players with that supporting cast, and they're still not scoring tons. Like, even when Sergio Aguero was at Man City, he didn't score this many. Even when, like, I'm just saying, like, choose, like, anybody and compare it through history, and he's scoring way more than any of them. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. You're absolutely right. If he was playing for Newcastle, he'd be scoring once a game, but it wouldn't be, hat tricks a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that I think what everybody's he's scoring so much that he's in the category of like being not human. Like he's already at like the Ronaldo level, or Ronaldo like status, and like right now of how well he's doing. But I mean, and so I think that may distort like how good the Premier League actually is, because I'm a big Premier League fan, so I'm biased.
Yeah. Okay. So
Um,
I like once again, I don't want to critique the Premier League. I'm more saying that that's an argument people could use, and the Premier League always touts itself as doing that well. So I think that Holland's just that good. I agree.
Yeah.
And then, like as Charles said, you can be that good and be on a team that doesn't support you, and then you have to do it all yourself, and you're not the stats aren't going to look as good. But if you have a team that gives you that platform, you're going to crush it. And so that's what he's doing. So I feel bad for Copenhagen, and we're going to finally see how things go once we get to like the knockout stages with Man City. There we'll see, like, can Erling Haaland do it when, like, all the pressure's on the line?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's only the group stage, so I mean, yeah, like you said, when he gets to the knockout stage and pressure's really on to win the games, to keep going, like, can he actually do it? So, all right.
And I know you're a big Premier League good guy, Derek, but I think this year, I mean, the Premier League's always great competition. The top 4, 5, 6, they're always so close. But I think the other thing is, I really don't think the Premier League is as tough this year as it has been in the past. So that could be an issue too.
Just like top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea with the ownership issues, they're not as good as they used to be. Liverpool's down this year. Arsenal, yeah, they're doing well, but we'll see when it gets late, December, January, whatever, and where things start settling out. That's what I'm saying. The competition is always going to be there. I'm not taking it away. I'm just saying the competition is always close in EPL compared to the other leagues. I just don't think they're as strong top to bottom this year as they have been last year, the year before that. And so maybe that's another reason why he's crushing it. Maybe defenses aren't as good as they have been in the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can chop that up to like transfers.
That's what I'm talking about.
Last summer because of the World Cup. So a lot of people moving around to get playing time, to get on like their national teams, and so
yeah.
Okay. Let's finish off the Champions League real quick with Group H. Juve beating Haifa 3-1, and then PSG tying Benfica 1-1. So that's a loss of points for PSG there, even though Messi got a goal.
And PSG got an own goal.
Yeah, but if you look at Benfica, they put pressure on them. They put a lot of shots on target, and it's kind of surprising considering one of their center backs is Nicolas Otamendi, who's 34 years old at this point. But yeah,
Yep, I remember Otamendi being on Man City.
And before that, he was in Valencia. I followed him in Valencia. He's been around the block. That's all I'm saying.
He's been there. All right, so that wraps up our Champions League review roundup, whatever you want to call it. Let's quickly hit some injury points and some major teams that we're following, just to give you guys more background that may explain some things happening in these teams. I'm gonna hit Chelsea right off the bat. So Reece James is now fit. Today or a couple days ago, he became fit. But last couple weeks, he was been out. But he is fit now, and he's playing with us. Thiago Silva is, though, injured. There's a rumor that he may play in this week's Champions League game, but that's up in the air. Conte has been back in training for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. But he took a pretty big hit a month or so ago, and he's been out. So probably not going to be back this week, maybe next week, but hopefully we'll get him back. So that's all the injury news we got from Chelsea. Let's shoot to Bayern real fast. From the game yesterday, Charles, Alphonso Davies picked up an injury. He got a bruised skull of all things.
Yeah, I think it's a concussion is what it is. They're calling it a bruised skull, but it's probably a concussion because if you saw him come off, the way his eyes were and the way he
Mhm.
was acting, he was not there. He was seeing stars.
That's crazy.
So they said they don't know when he's going to be back.
That's gonna be
They're
a few
getting
weeks
a
at
little
least.
bit of a boost. It's been going a little slow, but it sounds like Hernandez will be back at least before the World Cup, according to France. So his recovery is coming along. They got, like I said, they got Coman and Kimmich back yesterday. They played in the second half
That's
of the
really
game.
good. Helpful.
Yeah, and then Mueller was
Mueller.
out, and I think he's just a knock. He should be back this week for the. I think that's what the report said. He'll be back for the Pilsen game. So things are kind of looking up, except for the Alfonso Davies injury. That we don't know how long he's going to be out.
Yeah. And then Real Madrid, David. I know we mentioned Benzema being coming back a little bit.
Yeah, also Modric though. So yeah, Benzema's working his way up to fitness. Modric has been out these last 2 games. He should be back for the Clasico. That's a big miss for Real Madrid because like Cruz and Modric have still been essential in the big games. I already mentioned also Thibaut Courtois, but either Militao. Those are crucial pieces.
Yeah.
That's their whole spine, and the fact that they're still doing so well is the reason why I'm actually more hyped on them than I have been in the past.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think it's getting people scared again for a repeat of last year.
Because it's just like an inevitable feel, isn't it? You're like, there's no way they should win, and then they do. So yeah.
I think that Aurora is going to last probably for the next couple of years, especially if they keep form like this. It's going to be in everybody's mind. Be like, are they going to pull off like 3 goals in the last like 5 minutes or?
Yeah.
All right. And then quick hit on Barcelona. Koundé is out. Hector Berlin. I know he's not in form, but he's been out. Kessié is out.
That's a bigger miss. Yeah, that's a much bigger
out. Miss. So Kessié and Christensen.
And Christensen's been playing well. Like they got him from Chelsea specifically.
Yeah. And then Depay is out too. So a lot, like pretty much almost their whole defense, with Koundé, Christensen, and Kessié is out injured, and then Depay can't help out up front. So there's a reason why Barcelona could be struggling. At least Champions League they're struggling. So yeah, and then I'm going to hit up USA injuries. So explain a little bit why they couldn't. They lost 2-0 against Japan and then tied Saudi Arabia 0-0. So Weston McKennie is out with a foot injury at Juve. Sergio Dest is out with a hamstring injury at AC Milan. Gio Reyna has a hamstring injury. Chris Richards, thigh injury. Matt Turner, foot injury. Dyke, knee. And then Josh Sargent, ankle injury. So, I mean, like, these aren't like, I mean, they could be knocks, but I mean, when you hear like thigh and you hear hamstring, it's like, great. So, I mean, hopefully by the World Cup, we can see Dest and Reyna, at least Dest, Reyna, and McKennie come back because those are key starters for us. Yeah. So that's why we didn't do very well in the international break. All right, let's go around the horn a little bit to closing comments here. David, closing comments, expectations for the next upcoming week.
Let's hit something we didn't mention very much. Juve is in 8th position in Serie A. You talking about Weston McKennie made me think about that. Mm-hmm. They need to step up their game. I'm not a giant Juve fan, so I'm fine with them losing. But AC Milan beat them 2-0, and AC Milan is looking, at least in Serie A, they're looking exactly where they should be. So,
Yeah.
and of course, Napoli and Atalanta are just playing awesome. So that's way cool. But change is occurring in Italy. It's not just Juve. It's not just
Sure.
Ole. As for what I ostensibly should be paying attention to, the Classico is coming up. So
This weekend.
yeah, so that's the important thing. I sometimes get a little Classicoed out because it happens so often, but it's always two of the best teams in the world, maybe two of the best of the you could say of the 20th century or the 21st century. They're probably the best. Real Madrid in the Champions League, then Barcelona's 2007 to 2010 run just gives them all plaudits for years. So anytime they play, you kind of have to say, let's respect it, and it's going to be an interesting game. I think Barcelona is going to do well, to my anger.
All right, Charles, closing comments.
Yeah, I mean, you got some good games coming up. A repeat this week, Barcelona-Inter again in the Champions League. I have a feeling this time Barcelona is probably going to bite them to make second place close in the group. But yeah, the Clasico is coming up, so come on, Real Madrid, beat the cheaters. Exciting games coming up, and then what was the other one we were talking about? This also coming up this weekend or from earlier.
No,
shoot, I can't remember.
In the Bundesliga or in what?
No, we were just talking about
Okay.
another game that was coming up earlier. I don't know if it was in the EPL or what.
Man City, Liverpool.
Yeah, that's next Sunday. That should be good.
That's next Sunday. Yeah,
because that Liverpool.
that's gonna be exciting. Do what?
Oh, I'm just saying Liverpool. You know how I was talking about all the teams showing up for Bayern. Liverpool is probably angry at Man City for winning last year, and then also the fact that Man City's gotten off to such a better start. So that means Liverpool is going to come with a chip on their shoulder. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah,
Scruffy game.
pretty much that's all I have.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to Italy. No, not me myself. Chelsea. I mean, I wish I was going to Italy to see that game, but Chelsea going to Italy to play the round 2 against AC Milan. Hopefully we'll have Thiago back, so we can play that 3 back again with Fofana and Koulibaly. And
that's going to be an atmosphere too, because AC Milan's excited to be back in Europe, back in the Champions League.
They love it. Then quick off football topic. Max Verstappen, world champion 2022, just won it the other night.
All right,
won it in Japan.
Yeah.
By winning the
nice.
winning the race. So quick tidbit there.
Oh, what I was gonna say, Manchester United Newcastle. That was the game this coming weekend to look forward to.
Man U, despite getting spanked by Man City and made to look like second grade playground bullies, they've been playing well. They're on form except for that Man City game. So that will be a good game.
Yeah, two on 4 teams, 5 versus 6. So should be a really good game. All right, guys. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, David. And thanks, Ray, for how long you spent with us. For joining the podcast today. And thanks to everybody who's watching. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Facebook and Twitter for news updates. And we'll see you guys next time.
A la Madrid.